Okay, here's a quick rundown of 1 year living with my 2015 KTM 690. I think a couple weeks ago or a month or so ago I posted a review of my 2016 Beta 300RR and got a couple comments of some of you that saw the mighty 690 sitting in the back and we're asking some questions about this bike. So thought I'd just after a year get on, talk about it, tell you about some of the mods I did on it, how it's been for a year, how the mods worked out, and get my general thoughts on it. So here it is, 2015 KTM 690. Got this bike almost exactly a year ago this month. Bought it and set it up to do the Arizona backroad discovery route with my son when he graduated high school. We took a graduation trip up to Utah on the AZ-BDR. I have a buddy that lives up in Kanab, Utah, so we thought it'd be a fun trip to get on some dirt bikes, ride and camp our way up to Utah. Then this is the bike I chose to do it. I had a 250L, a Honda CRF 250L. That was a pig of a bike. I love Hondas to death, always have, but that bike just wasn't a good bike. This is one, after looking for a long time used, I finally ended up buying a new one. They just don't see them resale very often, and when they do, at least the ones around here were pretty trashed. So we got this, set it up for the trip, and as you can see, it made it back in one piece. It performed good. I'm so glad. I almost bought a KTM 990, but for the dirt and the trails that we were running, I think this was the perfect bike. Not too fun on the highway for me, but I like to keep it to the dirt anyway. Let's see, so a little bit about the mods done to it so far. We did go with tubeless up front, and I put a high or heavy duty tube in the back. The tubeless worked great on the highways, worked great all through the trip. It held pressure, and we had no problems with it whatsoever. My son ran tubeless front and rear on the whole trip up. The only reason I didn't run the tubeless in the back is in the short time that I had to prep the bike before the trip, I was unsure if the tubeless would work with that wide of a tire. It is outside the recommended width for the tubeless systems. But no complaints with the front. Starting up top, did go with the Scott's steering stabilizer. I've had them on all my bikes. Because of the vibe on this, I did put the BRP rubber mounted bar mounts and went with the sub mount system on the Scott's. That worked out well. Changed out the clutch lever for a this is a clutch lever off, I believe, a 2012-2013 EXC 450 or any of the 450 KTM two-strokes. The old one went way out here, so every time I pull in the clutch, it just smashed my other fingers. This one is just short enough that I can move the control up forward enough that I can pull that one finger like I like it. Did go with the double take mirrors. A must when you're going off-road. We can just fold them down, get them out of the way, and get crazy. I like the ram mounts. Been using them for a long time. They're really stout. We usually, I think on the trip, we swapped the mirrors out and put cameras all over the bike when we were doing it. And put a little USB port up here just to power the GPS that I had mounted, and my the InReach system that I ran, the satellite tracking system that I ran. So the wife and family that I left at home could see us on our trip, and we could communicate them when we were out in the boonies. Next up, went with the seat concept seat. I think this is a must on this bike. The stock seat sucks. This is barely, well, this is worlds better, but it barely would be comfortable enough for long days in the saddle. We did about 150 miles a day, if that, depended on the weather. We did plan for 100-degree weather and geared up accordingly, and of course it rained the first 2 days of our trip, so that was fun. But the seat was great. Also changed out the filler cap. These are all pretty common mods for the 690. The original cap is a locking cap that goes back here, and it's flat. And a lot of complaints is that on the stock setup, the cap actually is recessed, or the port is recessed, and the cap plugs into it. The CJ designs that we got here, it reverts to a more conventional cap setup that, you know, you got the threaded area that comes up, and a normal cap screws onto it. A lot of the problems with the stock cap is that mud and everything collects here, and when you pull the cap up, there's no ridge to protect the gas tank, so dirt and mud fall down in the tank, and it's just a bad situation. So I went with this. This has been working out good. You could see racks. I went with this outfit Prerun, I think out of Europe. I ordered them online via email, and real nice setup, real quality hardware, and it was really cheap. Went with their rack. This is a little extension device. It can hook up the roto packs up here if you want to carry fuel up here. I had a big pack sitting up top, and these are Rally Raid side mounts. And the reason I set these up is, if you guys don't know, 690s, this entire back area is your gas tank, and there's no real subframe under it. It is completely plastic, and that's what you're sitting on. You're sitting on the gas tank, and so I was a little worried about putting a lot of weight back here because of that. With this, I sort of figured this gets down to the pegs, so it creates sort of a structural reinforcement for that back deck, so I can weight it up, and thinking a lot of that load can transfer down here. There's only 2 bolts that hold the tank on, a bolt up top and a bolt down below that hold this whole subframe on, so I was a little worried about that. In fact, that was one of the main upgrades that everybody puts on these bikes, is those bolts tend to snap, so there's some heavy-duty replacements. I also got from Prerun and installed on the bike. I think I have a video of me putting everything on in a day, because most of the stuff came right before our trip, so pretty much outfitted the bike in a day to get it ready for the trip. So racks worked out great. Skid plate, this is a Flatlander aluminum skid plate. Real economical. I think it was $100, and it works out great. You know, single connection up front, and they plug in like the stock one does in the back. So real easy to install. Foot pegs. I'm a little bit tall, and this, as big as this bike is, it can get a little crowded. So these are, they're BlackDog design foot pegs. They're intended to be about a 3/4 inch drop to the stock foot peg, but as you can see, what I did is they're designed to have interchangeable plates that you can attach to this. Those plates are about a 1/4 inch. I just took off the plate and drilled and tapped more holes, and this is almost like a Fastway setup where you can put little studs in there for grip. So that's basically what I did. Gives me about a 1 inch of drop over the conventional stock foot pegs. Gives me a little more room, a little more comfortable standing up. Also, another thing I did, I got rid of the stock hand, went with the wings setup. Real nice pipe. I did not have to remap the ECU for that pipe. Real nice setup. It was pretty economical coming from Europe again. And went on. Fit and finish are great. Like the little carbon fiber tip. It's pretty nice. It installed pretty easily. Went on pretty easily, pretty quick. Roto packs, I got another one on the other side for water and fuel. That is one downfall for this bike, is the pretty small fuel capacity here. So I did carry extra fuel. Tool tube, got the essential tools in there to fix the bike. Flat repair, if change a tire and everything, all fits in there pretty well. Did put a KTM Power Sports radiator brace on. That went in pretty good, and fit and finish on that was pretty straightforward. I hope that it would be. It's a KTM part, and installed that. Also, because I was loaded down with gear on the trip, I did install this to help adjust the rear shock when I load it up with gear, or like now when there's no gear on, I'm just commuting with the bike. I can quickly adjust the preload on the rear shock. I think this is a Power Parts component that's for like a 2008 990. Bought that online, stuck it on here, and now I can adjust that shock, because it is a pain. You can't get in there. You have to really remove the shock, adjust the collar. The old collars were like aluminum. They get beat to hell. So this way I can adjust the shock while it's on the bike. I know they do have hydraulic adjusters now. You can mount a little knob and turn it, and it adjusts it. But that was a fairly expensive option. I didn't know if it fit the 2015. Also, what else? Oh, here's a weak point on the 690. I did put a skid plate for the rear brake master cylinder. As you can see, it normally just attaches out here, and it's normally exposed. Rocks and everything could get to it, so have a little extension for a skid plate there to protect that guy. Let's see, roto packs. That's about it for the mods. All the mods worked out great. I did the only thing I probably would change or do differently is maybe not go with these Rally Raid side racks. On the trip I ran an Alt Rider loop kind of pack. It had 2 saddlebags and then a large waterproof bag that went inside. It was a really great setup, but these side racks made it a little too wide for that. I think that pack is really designed to wrap right onto the bike without any need for this rack. So it's sat a little wide. You could see it rubbed some of the finish off on these side racks. But so I did end up selling the Alt Rider. I'm looking for a different setup now that fits the bike a little better. I'm probably going to just go with a big tail pack. I really like those Moscow Motors packs that they got out now. Trying to get a setup that I can keep access to the fuel tank, because a lot of times you put bags back here, it covers the fuel access point, which sucks. So looking at that'll probably be the next change. I got Wolfman tank bag. Wolfman products are really nice. The only thing I didn't realize on this is, or I didn't think I needed, is these aren't waterproof. And like I said, it rained on our first couple days out, so that everything in that bag was soaked. And it was not too, I think my insurance and everything in there, all our IDs were sort of trashed 2 days into the ride. So lucky we didn't run into any trouble, or else we would have had some splaining to do. Let's see, other than that, I think that's about it. How's it been? The bike is a beautiful bike for what I used it for, that Arizona Backroads Discovery route. Not too extreme. It's probably a little light of a trip for this type of bike, but man, it handled the dirt. It gets up on the highway. I don't like riding knobbies on the highway at speed. I probably, now that I have a real dirt bike again, probably convert this more to a little more street, maybe put some Hyde Now Scout 60 tires on it, a little more 50/50 tire to get rid of a lot of the noise. These are the stock Pirellis, pretty noisy, and if it weren't for ABS on the bike, I'd probably be skidding everywhere on the road. You know, knobs are just not what I like to ride on the street. I did go with a taller windscreen, although, you know, you could see this is the stock height. This gets you another 10 inches or so. Still at 6'2", 6'3" that I am, you know, it's still, wind hits me in the chest. So it's, you know, not really helping that much. But it was the tallest one I could find and put it on because I wanted at least a little protection there. Probably have to change out these hand guards. These are the stock flimsy plastic ones. I didn't go down hard enough on that trip to take those out, so they worked, served their purpose. Bike is really good. Right now I'm probably more using it as a commuter than anything. Haven't had another opportunity to take it out on a big trip. Probably end up going to Utah again this year and see Moab and take it through there. That'd be a fun. I fell in love with Utah when we're up there. So I'm gonna have to go back, but the last 6 months the two-stroke's been getting most of the love, and the weekend time or my weekend attention. So this has been going back and forth to work a couple times a week just to keep it running, and with that I'm probably getting about 50 miles to the gallon out of it. So but it's been reliable. It's a big bike, it's a fun bike. That's about it. Thanks a lot. See you later.